The moment began quietly, without announcements, without flashing headlines, without any warning that something unforgettable was about to unfold. Inside a dimly lit dance studio, where mirrors reflect years of sweat, discipline, and unspoken dreams, Jungkook and Jimin stood side by side. There was no stage, no roaring crowd, no blinding lights, only music humming softly through the speakers and two souls moving as one. Yet within minutes, what happened in that room sent a wave of emotion across the world, leaving ARMY everywhere breathless, teary-eyed, and deeply moved. From the very first step, it was clear this was not just a dance. It was a conversation without words, a story told through motion, eye contact, and shared rhythm. Jungkook's movements carried strength and precision, each gesture grounded and powerful, while Jimin flowed beside him with a grace that seemed almost unreal, as if gravity itself had decided to be kinder in that moment. Together, they created something that went far beyond choreography. It felt intimate, raw, and profoundly human. As the music played, their synchronization was flawless, but what truly captured hearts was the emotion behind it. Every turn, every pause, every breath between steps seemed filled with meaning. Jungkook glanced at Jimin with a familiar smile, one that spoke of years spent training together, of struggles faced behind closed doors, of laughter shared late at night when exhaustion weighed heavy. Jimin responded not with words, but with movement, his expressions shifting effortlessly from softness to intensity, as if translating emotions that fans have felt for years but could never quite put into words. For ARMY, this moment felt like a gift wrapped in sincerity. Fans have always known about the deep bond between Jungkook and Jimin, often affectionately called Jikook, but seeing it expressed so purely through dance was something else entirely. There was no performance mask here, no attempt to impress. Instead, there was trust, complete and unwavering. Trust that the other would be there on the next beat, trust that every move would land exactly where it needed to, trust but their movements mirrored each other so perfectly that it was difficult to tell where one ended and the other began. It was unity in its purest form. ARMY, watching from afar through shared clips and whispered descriptions online, felt as though they were intruding on something sacred. Many fans admitted they watched in silence, unable to speak, their throats tight with emotion. Others confessed to crying without fully understanding why. Perhaps it was because this dance reminded them of why they fell in love with BTS in the first place, not just because of the music or the performances, but because of the authenticity, the brotherhood, and the emotional honesty that the group has always embodied. What made this moment even more powerful was its simplicity. There were no extravagant outfits, no elaborate sets. Jungkook wore comfortable practice clothes, his hair slightly damp with sweat, eyes focused yet warm. Jimin, equally relaxed in his attire, moved with a natural elegance that required no embellishment. This stripped-down setting allowed their connection to shine without distraction. It was a reminder that true artistry does not need excess, it only needs sincerity. Fans quickly began to interpret the dance in their own ways. Some saw it as a reflection of their journey together, from trainees to superstars. Others felt it symbolized comfort and healing, especially during times when the world feels heavy and uncertain. Many ARMY shared stories of how watching Jungkook and Jimin dance together gave them a sense of peace, as if everything, just for a moment, was going to be okay. The emotional impact was amplified by the unspoken understanding between the two dancers. Jungkook and Jimin have always shared a special chemistry, one built on mutual respect and genuine affection. Jungkook has often spoken about how much he admires Jimin's artistry and sensitivity, while Jimin has never hidden how deeply he cares for Jungkook, often praising his talent and dedication. In this dance, those feelings were no longer just words, they were visible, tangible, alive. There was a moment near the end of the dance when the music softened almost to a whisper. Jungkook and Jimin slowed to a stop, standing close, breathing in sync. They exchanged a brief look, no smiles, no dramatic gestures, just a quiet acknowledgement of what they had just shared. That look alone sent waves through the fandom. It was a look that said, "We did this together, and thank you for being here." Social media soon overflowed with reactions. Fans described the dance as healing, comforting, and painfully beautiful. Some said it felt like a warm hug after a long, difficult day. Others called it a reminder of friendship, loyalty, and love that transcends words. Even those who have followed BTS for years admitted they were caught off guard by how deeply this simple studio dance affected them. In a world where performances are often polished to perfection, this moment stood out because of its honesty. Jungkook and Jimin did not dance to prove anything. They danced because it was natural, because as the clip continued to circulate, fans began to notice small details that made the moment even more special. The way Jungkook subtly adjusted his timing to match Jimin's movements. The way Jimin instinctively leaned into Jungkook's energy, trusting him completely. These details spoke volumes about their teamwork and the unspoken communication they share, something that can only be built through years of working side by side. What truly made hearts melt was the sense of comfort radiating from the dance. There was no tension, no competition, only warmth. It felt like watching two people who genuinely enjoy being together, finding joy in shared movement. In that studio, the outside world seemed to fade away, leaving only music, motion, and mutual understanding. The emotional resonance of this moment also lies in its timing. At a time when fans long for reassurance and connection, Jungkook and Jimin offered something deeply personal without saying a single word. Through dance, they reminded ARMY that they are still here, still connected, still moving forward together. It was a quiet promise, delivered not through speeches or statements, but through as the music faded and the dance came to an end, there was a lingering feeling that stayed with everyone who watched. A sense of warmth, nostalgia, and hope intertwined. It was the kind of moment that doesn't demand attention, yet stays in your heart long after it's over. A moment that feels small on the surface, but vast in its emotional impact. In the end, Jungkook and Jimin's dance in the studio was not about perfection or spectacle.